Hi-ho, Tudor-minded people. It's Philadelphia Carrie for Tudor Time Machine. The phrase I share with you this week is snow-broth. For the spring is unexpectedly icy, and snow-broth covered the city as the sun did beam. The sun was kind, but I shall tell you who was not kind. My once scurvy companion, R.B. He did not send a note to beg me to return. He did not fuel gossip of his deep sadness that I was lost to him. I did not find him drunken and sullen in my doorway. Did he ever care for me at all? It is his blood that is snow-broth, the noddy, the miscreant. I had to know how he did pass his hours without me, and so I did don my boy attire and stole down the twisted lanes of London to find R.B. at the Globe Theatre. He stood upon the stage, a manuscript in hand. Henry the Fourth it was. He dared to be a monarch. He dared cast himself at the top of the great chain of being. The vanity of an actor. He would have himself what he cannot be. The fury that rose within me, I ran at him and plucked the manuscript from his hands. He was bewildered, my dear friends, and staggered back. Then he was bold to snatch it back. "It is mine," I declared, and seized it again. I jumped upon his horse. R.B. called my name, "Philadelphia!" but not in a musical way, in a demanding way. I spurred the horse on. I turned to see R.B. bobbing behind me on a donkey. He made chase. Was it the chase of love, of forgiveness, to reconcile our woes? It was not. He desired the manuscript, and that is all. I made haste to leave the city of London, and thought to go to Dover, to France, for some say the French, though vile, know amour. R.B. was far behind and out of view on his donkey, so I did stop in the town of Pluckley. Dressed as a boy, I thought to eat in a common pub. Quelle aventure! I placed the manuscript before me on the table, and R.B. burst in. "I would have my play." He used his very big theatre voice, as he should not. I grabbed it and stood before the fire. "You shall not have it." He reached, and I threw it. But then, I tell you, gentles, my blood ran cold as snow-broth as the papers flew up the chimney. "It is the ghost," the tavern-keeper whispered, and men flung salt about and murmured. My heart beating wildly, I ran outside, R.B. too. But there were no papers, no manuscript, just the chimney smoke. R.B. turned to me, and I shall tell you, I paused for his words. He said in a low voice, "The horse is mine." Ha! I paid him no mind, took the horse and rode away. What think you, Tudorphiles? Was it the ghost of an actor that whisked away the play?
Snow-broth. How now, Tudorphiles, what think you? If you're new here, I'm Gage.
I'm Jessica.
And we're here with Philadelphia Carrie for Tudor Word of the Week.
Don't miss a word, and listen to the Tudor Time Machine Story Project. So diverting. And I pray bid you tell a ningle and ring the little YouTube bell.
Tudorphiles, thank you for listening. Every one of you has the wit of Rosalind and the heart of Cordelia.
And don't be shy about writing to Philadelphia on YouTube. Or if you're reading a play from this period and you don't know a word, suggest it. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear your words and what you're curious about.
Absolutely, we would. How do you spell today's Tudor word, Philadelphia?
It is spelled SNOW BROTH.
And it means newly melted snow.
R.B. has snow-broth in his veins.
That may be true, but I don't think that means, Philadelphia, that you should steal his manuscript and lose it.
Philadelphia, are you telling us you stole a manuscript of Henry IV and took it to Pluckley? I can't believe that. That's crazy.
Why not?
Well, Pluckley is where the During manuscript was found. The During manuscript, the first manuscript of any Shakespearean play that we have.
No way, and it's Henry IV?
The manuscript combines Henry IV, Part 1 and 2 into one play.
Philadelphia, R.B. had the manuscript and you took it to Pluckney? Are you why it's there?
I was going to throw it in the fire, as I told you. I could not let R.B. have it, but then it floated up the chimney.
It did not. You hid it. You hid it somewhere.
The pages rose up the chimney, and yet outside the tavern there was not even a bit of ash.
You cannot expect us to believe that.
You are wrong to doubt a lady of my rank. I would not lie. I would not dissemble. It was a spirit, a mischievous Puck. That is the truth.
So this phantom wanted to read a little Shakespeare?
Was this at the Black Horse Inn?
Why are you asking that?
It was the Black Horse Inn, a lovely old place.
Okay, what does that mean?
So this inn is still supposed to be haunted. I mean, the whole town, really. Pluckley is famous for its ghosts. People have seen a lady in red, they've seen a monk, they've seen highwaymen, they hear people screaming.
So you also think a ghost wanted to save Shakespeare's manuscript?
Well, I mean, if you're a ghost who engages in that kind of behavior, I think saving Shakespeare's manuscript is a good choice.
Well, I guess you're right. And Shakespeare did use our word of the week, Snow-broth, in his play Measure for Measure.
Measure for Measure. Indeed, it is not my favourite. It is so full of judgment and condemnation. In the play, the Duke has a great desire to test and judge everyone. He creates a great intrigue. He announces he's going travelling, and he puts his second-in-command, Angelo, in charge. Well, Angelo begins enforcing a law that condemns a person to death if that person indulges in the pleasure of the flesh outside of marriage. Angelo sentences a young man, Claudio, to death for sleeping with Juliet, who he intends to marry. It is absurd behaviour. Then Isabella, a novice nun, and Claudio's sister, tries to convince Angelo to spare her brother. But Angelo, who presents himself as so pure, says he will save Claudio if Isabella sleeps with him. Isabella refuses, and that upsets Claudio.
This is such a strange play. You know, even in the end of Measure for Measure, people marry and they seem to be happy, but the bargains they make are pretty disturbing. This play just makes me uncomfortable. But in the scene that has our word of the week in it, a messenger has come to Isabel to tell her that her brother has gotten someone pregnant and that he's been sentenced to death. Will you read it with me, Philadelphia?
I would prefer to play the high-born Isabella over the messenger, but who has more lines?
Well, actually, the messenger.
Oh, I shall read the messenger, with pleasure.
All right. So Isabel says, someone is with child by him? My cousin Juliet?
And then me, as the messenger, I say, is she your cousin?
Adoptedly, as schoolmates change their name by vain, though apt affection.
She it is.
Oh, let him marry her.
This is the point. The Duke is very strangely gone from hence. Bore many gentlemen, myself being one, in hand and hope of action. But we did learn, by those that know the very nerves of state, his givings out were of an infinite distance from his true meant design. Upon his place, and with full line of his authority, governs Lord Angelo, a man whose blood is very snow-broth, one who never feels the wanton stings and motions of the sense, but doth rebate and blunt his natural edge with profits of the mind, study, and fast. He, to give fear to use and liberty, which have for long run by the hideous law as mice by lions, hath picked out an act under whose heavy sense your brother's life falls into forfeit. He arrests him on it, and follows close the rigour of the statute to make him an example. All hope is gone unless you have the grace by your fair prayer to soften Angelo. And that's my pith of business twixt you and your poor brother. Oh, Angelo is a dissembler. He is wanton, but behaves as if he is not. He is worse than R.B.
If chasing after R.B. resulted in a ghost saving the earliest surviving manuscript by Shakespeare, you have done history a favor, Philadelphia.
I want to go to this haunted town of Pluckley. I'd like to see a ghost.
Me too.
You take it for nothing, but a ghost may turn your blood to snow-broth. So give heed, Tudorphiles. Add some 16th century sauce to your vocabulary with snow-broth. Listen in next time, don't miss a word, subscribe on YouTube, and give me a like.